The conference room is smaller than I expected. Windowless, beige walls, a faux wood table with 8 chairs, though only 5 of us will sit. Patricia arrives first, her leather portfolio making a soft thump as she sets it down. Then Dimitri with his camelback and laptop. Then the stenographer, a woman in her 60s who arranges her equipment with the efficiency of someone who's recorded 1,000 marital autopsies. Rebecca arrives last with Brad, and I force myself to look at her directly for the first time in 6 weeks. She's lost weight. Her dental hygienist scrubs have been replaced by a gray cardigan and black slacks that hang loose at the waist. And her hair, she used to highlight it every 8 weeks religiously, has grown out to its natural brown, with threads of silver I don't remember. She doesn't look at me. She sits, folds her hands on the table, and stares at a spot somewhere near the stenographer's left shoulder. Brad opens his briefcase and pulls out a stack of documents flagged with neon tabs, trying to project competence. But his hands shake slightly and I realize he's nervous. Patricia radiates the opposite energy. Controlled, surgical, a predator who's already won and is here to formalize the kill. "Let's begin," Patricia says. And for the next 90 minutes, we divide what's left. The joint Visa card, balance $4,200, which Rebecca claims she didn't know, included charges I made for the girls' school clothes and Morgan's geology club trip to Hocking Hills. Patricia produces receipts showing Rebecca charged $600 at the Sandusky Hotel gift shop, spa products, wine, a cashmere throw, on a card she now wants me to pay half of. Brad argues those were purchases made during the marriage and therefore joint responsibility. Patricia counters that they were purchases made in furtherance of an affair using marital funds, and the judge already ruled Rebecca responsible for debt incurred through infidelity-related expenses. Brad folds. Rebecca's face doesn't change. The retirement accounts are next. Mine from the municipal pool system, hers from the dental practice's 401k, before Dr. Halloran fired her. Ohio law says marital assets get split 50-50 unless fault applies, and Patricia's already established fault in the custody hearing, so the judge awarded me 60% of the combined retirement funds, an extra $41,000 that I didn't ask for and now don't want because every dollar feels like blood money, extracted from the corpse of a marriage I still sometimes dream about in the past tense. Brad tries to renegotiate the split, arguing Rebecca will need those funds since her employment prospects are damaged. Patricia says that's a consequence Rebecca engineered herself, and the stenographer's fingers fly across the keys, recording this for a court record no one will read except lawyers billing hourly. There's a break at 9:45. Rebecca goes to the bathroom and doesn't come back for 12 minutes. When she returns, her eyes are red but dry, as if she's reached some internal limit on tears and now operates on something past emotion, a gray flat line of endurance. Brad asks if she needs more time. She shakes her head. We continue. The final item is the house. Technically, it's already been awarded to me in the custody order, but there's the matter of Rebecca's name on the deed and the mortgage, which the bank requires her to sign off on before the title transfer completes. Patricia slides the quitclaim deed across the table, a single page that will erase Rebecca's legal ownership of the only home our daughters have ever known. Brad reviews it, whispers something to Rebecca, and she picks up the pen. She pauses with the pen hovering over the signature line, and for a moment I think she's going to refuse, force this into another hearing, drag it out for months. Instead, she says quietly, "Can I say something?" Brad touches her elbow in warning. Patricia leans back in her chair, arms crossed, giving nothing. I nod. Rebecca looks at me for the first time all morning. "I know you think I destroyed everything on purpose. I know you think I'm a monster who deserves all of this." Her voice is steady, rehearsed, like she's practiced this in mirrors and therapy sessions. But you made a choice too. You could have told me you knew. You could have asked me to end it, go to counseling, fight for us. Instead, you built a legal trap and waited for me to step in it. You wanted me humiliated. You wanted everyone to know what I did. And now Kylie won't speak to me without a court supervisor in the room, and Morgan asked me last week if I ever loved any of you. And I can't, her voice cracks. She stops, breathes, continues. I can't undo what I did, but you can't undo what you did either. You turned our divorce into a public execution because it made you feel powerful, and our daughters will remember that. They'll remember you didn't protect them from it. You protected yourself. The room is silent except for the hum of the ventilation system and the faint clicking of the stenographer's keys. Patricia starts to interject, but I raise a hand, stop her. Because Rebecca is right. Not about everything, not about the affair, not about the lying, but about the choice I made to maximize damage instead of contain it. I could have filed quietly, done mediation, kept the financial records and hotel receipts as private leverage instead of courtroom exhibits. I could have told Dr. Halloran's office manager that I'd made a mistake, that there was no time card issue, that I'd misread the calendar. I didn't because I wanted Rebecca to lose her job. I wanted her professionally ruined. I wanted the town to know what she'd done so I wouldn't have to carry the humiliation alone. I wanted her to hurt, and I succeeded, and my daughters inherited the shrapnel. You're right, I say. Brad blinks. Patricia's jaw tightens. Rebecca stares at me, waiting for the punchline, the twist, the moment I take it back. You're right that I chose this. I could have done it differently. I didn't because I was angry, and I wanted you to pay in every possible way. The words feel like swallowing broken glass, but I force them out. And you're right that Kylie and Morgan are paying for that choice. I told myself I was protecting them by getting primary custody, but I was really protecting myself from looking weak, from people thinking I was the kind of man who'd take you back after what you did. Rebecca's eyes fill. She looks down at the quitclaim deed, at the blank signature line that will finalize her erasure from the home we bought together. The walls I drywalled badly, the backyard where we planted the garden that never grew right because the soil was too acidic. Her hand moves and she signs her name in the careful print she uses for legal documents, then slides the paper back across the table. I hope you find someone who makes you happy, she says. I hope the girls forgive both of us. And I hope you understand someday that winning isn't the same as healing. She stands. Brad gathers his papers. They leave, the door clicking shut with a sound like a judge's gavel, final and irreversible. Patricia starts talking about the next steps, filing the deed with the county recorder, finalizing the retirement account transfers, closing the last threads of legal entanglement. I hear her voice as if from underwater, distant and distorted. Dimitri packs his laptop and asks if I'm okay. I say yes automatically, the way you say you're fine when someone asks in a grocery store checkout line, a social reflex divorced from truth. The stenographer hands me a card with information about obtaining the transcript. I take it, thank her, and walk out into the courthouse hallway where November light slants through high windows, illuminating dust motes that swirl like snow globes of dead skin and paint flecks, and the microscopic debris of 1,000 broken families. My phone buzzes, a text from Kylie's school counselor asking if I can come in next week to discuss her panic attacks. Another from Morgan's science teacher saying she's failing earth science, not because she doesn't understand the material, but because she's stopped turning in assignments, stopped participating, stopped trying. I sit on a bench near the metal detectors and open my phone's photo album, scrolling back to 2006, the blood drive, the picture someone took of Rebecca and me at our wedding reception. She's laughing at something my best man said, head thrown back, pure and unguarded, and I'm looking at her like she's the only real thing in a world of static. I remember that version of myself, 26, just home from Iraq, convinced I'd survive for a reason, that the universe had a plan and it involved this woman, this life, these future daughters who didn't exist yet but would, who'd inherit our best qualities and forge something better than we managed. I don't know when that man disappeared. Somewhere between the first hotel receipt and the last deposition, between the forensic accountant and the custody hearing, between the marriage I had and the revenge I chose. Patricia told me once that divorce is an amputation, necessary to save the body, but leaving phantom pain where the limb used to be. She was right. I wake up some mornings reaching for Rebecca's side of the bed before I remember it's empty, that I made it empty, that I scorched the earth so thoroughly nothing will grow there again. The house smells different now. It used to smell like Rebecca's vanilla candles and the lavender lotion she wore, and the specific combination of cleaning products she preferred. Eco-friendly stuff from the co-op that cost twice as much as Lysol. Now it smells like pool chlorine and freezer meals in the absence of another adult, the silence of a man raising daughters alone in a space designed for four. I cook the same rotation of 6 dinners, help with homework I barely understand. Enforce screen time limits Rebecca and I agreed on years ago in negotiations I now conduct with myself. Kylie asks sometimes why I couldn't forgive Mom, why it had to end this way, and I don't have an answer that satisfies either of us. Morgan just withdraws, spending hours in her room cataloging rocks, arranging and rearranging them in taxonomies only she understands, building order from chaos the way I tried to build justice from betrayal. Therapy helps, some. I started going in January after Kylie's counselor suggested it, sitting in a beige office that could be this courthouse conference room's twin, talking to a woman named Dr. Brennan who nods and takes notes and occasionally asks questions that crack me open in ways I don't expect. She asked once what I thought I'd gain by destroying Rebecca's career and reputation. I said justice. She asked if I felt more just now. I couldn't answer. She waited, the way therapists do, letting the silence stretch until I filled it. I feel like I won a war but lost the country I was fighting for, I said finally, and she wrote that down like it was profound instead of just true. If you're still watching and you've been through something like this, or you're in the middle of it now, the subscribe button is below because the path forward is longer and harder than the revenge, and I'll be documenting that too. The part where you learn to live in the aftermath of choices you can't undo. The girls are resilient in ways that break my heart. Kylie started a marine biology blog, posting about ocean ecosystems and coral bleaching and the fragility of underwater biomes. And I recognize in her writing a displaced grief, a girl who can't fix her family, so she writes about saving reefs. Morgan joined a rock hounding club and spends weekends with other kids searching creek beds for fossils, coming home muddy and exhausted with pockets full of limestone and shale, pieces of ancient oceans that died millennia ago and left their bones for children to find. They adapt because children always adapt, absorbing the trauma and metabolizing it into personality, into coping mechanisms, into the scar tissue that will shape their own relationships decades from now. Rebecca and I are civil now, in the way ex-spouses become after lawyers and therapists sand down the sharpest edges. We exchange custody on Sunday evenings in the parking lot of a Panera Bread, neutral territory, handing off backpacks and permission slips and updates on grades and friendship drama. She got a job at the Akron Clinic, graveyard shift, cleaning teeth for patients who can't afford better and don't ask questions about why a hygienist with 17 years experience is working overnight at a discount chain. She rented an apartment near the highway, 1 bedroom, and the girls tell me it's small but clean, that she's trying, that she cries sometimes when she thinks they can't hear. I don't feel good about that. I don't feel bad either. Mostly I feel tired, the deep exhaustion of someone who's carried rage for so long that putting it down leaves him weak and unsteady. Dr. Brennan says that's normal, that I'm grieving not just the marriage but the person I was inside it, the man who believed in second chances and proportional responses, who came home from Iraq determined to be gentle. That man died somewhere in Dimitri's IHOP booth, looking at Venmo receipts and traffic camera logs, making calculations that had nothing to do with healing and everything to do with vengeance. Spring comes, indifferent to human catastrophe. The pool opens for the season and I hire new lifeguards, teenagers who don't know my story, who see me as just another middle-aged manager with a limp and a thermos of bad coffee. I teach them CPR and water rescue and how to handle belligerent parents who argue about pool rules, and sometimes I catch myself giving advice about integrity and doing the right thing even when it's hard, and I taste the hypocrisy like copper in my mouth. Morgan brings her science grade up to a B-. Kylie gets early acceptance to a summer marine biology program at Put-in Bay, the same island where Rebecca and I spent our anniversary, and I write the check for the deposit and try not to think about coral sundresses and pearl earrings. Rebecca starts seeing someone new, a divorced electrician named Tom, who seems kind in the brief interactions I witnessed during custody exchanges. The girls mention him cautiously, testing my reaction, and I tell them I'm glad their mom has someone, which is partly true. Mostly I'm relieved because her happiness dilutes my guilt, spreads the responsibility for her rebuilding across more shoulders than just mine. She'll be okay. The girls will be okay. And I will be okay in the way that people are okay after amputations, functional and scarred and forever aware of what's missing. The moral of this story isn't that Rebecca didn't deserve consequences. She did. Infidelity and deception corrode marriages from the inside, turning shared history into evidence, transforming intimacy into interrogation. But consequences exist on a spectrum, and I chose the furthest point, the scorched earth option that salted the ground so nothing could grow. I could have filed for divorce, split the assets, shared custody, let her keep her job and her reputation, allowed our daughters to love both parents without choosing sides. Instead, I made it a war, and in war, everyone loses something irreplaceable. Dr. Brennan asked me last week what I'd do differently if I could go back. I said I'd confront Rebecca the day I found the receipt, give her a chance to end the affair, try counseling, see if the marriage was salvageable before I called lawyers and forensic accountants. She asked if I believed the marriage was salvageable. I said no, probably not. The betrayal had severed something fundamental. So what would have been different? She pressed. I thought about it for a long time, listening to the white noise machine in her office, the fake rain that's supposed to create privacy, but just makes me think about everything I've tried to drown out. The girls would have been different, I said. They'd have seen their parents handle a crisis with dignity instead of destruction. They'd have learned that people can hurt you and you can leave without annihilating them. They'd have a different template for relationships. Dr. Brennan nodded and wrote that down, and I realized that was the real cost. Not the retirement accounts or the house or Rebecca's career, but the lesson I'd taught my daughters about love and betrayal, the model I'd built for them of how to handle being hurt. Kylie will grow up afraid to trust anyone fully because she watched trust explode in her parents' hands. Morgan will grow up believing relationships are zero-sum because she watched me take everything rather than share the loss. That's my legacy, more permanent than any court order. It's June now, almost a year since the divorce finalized, and I'm sitting on the back patio watching fireflies rise from the lawn the way they did the night Rebecca and I got married. The walnut tree is in someone else's yard, her mother's place. But the fireflies are the same, indifferent to property lines and broken vows. Morgan is at Rock Hounding Club. Kylie is upstairs video chatting with a boy from her marine biology program, and I can hear her laughing. The same snorting honesty her mother had when I met her at that blood drive 18 years ago. The sound makes my chest hurt in a bad way now, an ache that won't heal because I'm the one who inflicted it. I don't know if I'm a better person than I was a year ago. I'm more self-aware, which isn't the same thing. I understand now that revenge is a hydra. You cut off one head and two more grow back, and eventually you're fighting a monster of your own creation. I understand that the legal system is a tool, not a moral compass, and just because you can destroy someone within the law doesn't mean you should. I understand that my daughters will remember this year for the rest of their lives, and when they tell their therapists and partners and friends about their childhood, they won't talk about the love and stability in Friday night Chinese food. They'll talk about the year their father turned their mother into an object lesson. If I could speak to the man I was in that IHOP booth, looking at Venmo receipts with Dimitri, I'd tell him to close the laptop. I'd tell him to go home, confront Rebecca, end the marriage with as much grace as heartbreak allows, and protect his daughters from the shrapnel. But I can't speak to that man because he's gone, burned up in the same fire that consumed everything else, and all I have left is the aftermath. Two girls who are learning to trust again, an ex-wife who's rebuilding a life from rubble, and a house that smells like chlorine and regret. The fireflies keep rising, small and bright and temporary, and I watch them until the sky goes dark and Kylie calls down that she's hungry, and I go inside to microwave something we'll eat together while pretending this is normal. This is fine. This is the life we chose, even though we didn't. Even though I did, even though the choosing is the part that haunts me when I lie awake at 3 a.m., listening to the house settle, and the furnace hum and the silence where forgiveness used to live before I decided I didn't need it. That's the lesson, if there is one. You can be legally right, morally certain, and still wrong about the thing that matters most. Justice and healing are different paths, and I chose the one that left everyone limping. The chlorine smell never leaves your hands, and the choices never leave your chest. And you learn to live with both, or you don't live at all. The courthouse is closed now, the deed is filed, the marriage is legally dead, and somewhere in the ruins is the man I used to be. The one who survived Ramadi and believed in second chances, buried under the rubble of a revenge I can't undo and wouldn't know how to build back from even if I could.